chalice window. The primary medallion is a chalice surrounded by rays and topped by the monogram IHS. The upper medallion features a cluster of grapes attached to its vine. This window is dedicated to the memory of John Ann and Catherine Dixon. The chalice. A chalice is a large cup or goblet usually associated with drinking wine. Christians have long used chalices to hold the wine or juice consecrated in the sacrament of the Holy Communion. This chalice is surrounded by golden rays, calling attention to its sacred contents. Above the cup is a circle engraved with the letter IHS. That probably represents a paten, a plate on which the bread of the Eucharist is placed. IHS appears twice in the Dumbarton sanctuary. It has been used to symbolize two quite different moments in the history of Christianity. IHS is sometimes used as an abbreviation for the name of Jesus as it is written in Greek. It seems to have been in use as early as the 4th century, but was popularized by the monk Saint Bernardino of Siena in the 14th century, and later by the Jesuit order. It is sometimes referred to as a sacred monogram or the nomen sacrum. IHS also stands for in hoc signo, Latin for in the sign. On October 27, 312, the night before the Battle of the Milvian Bridge, the Roman Emperor Constantine had a vision of the Greek letters XP, which are the first two letters of the Greek word for air shields. He did indeed win the battle, which gave him full control over the Roman Empire. Soon thereafter, he issued the Edict of Milan, which granted tolerance to all minority religions, including Christianity. Constantine may or may not have converted to Christianity. He seems to have participated in a variety of worship practices, particularly those of the sun god revered by soldiers. Some historians wondered whether he believed the sun god and the Christian god were one and the same. Constantine granted Christians favorable treatment and employed a number of them in his court. He was baptized on his deathbed in 337. Grapes on the vine. Grapes, of course, are the source of wine for communion. Ostensibly included in the chalice in the central panel of this window. Grapes and their many products, raisins, raisin cakes, juice, wine, were a staple food in the ancient Near East. The Bible has a number of meaningful grape-related metaphors. Israel as a vine plant planted and tended by God. Wine as the blood of the grape. And others, the image of grapes on the vine reminds Christians of Jesus' sermon in John 15. I'm the vine, you are the branches. Those who abide in me and I in them bear much fruit. This passage leads to one of Jesus' central teachings. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. John Dixon, Andy Dixon, and Catherine Dixon, presented by Henry Dixon, son of John and Ann Dixon. John C. Dixon was born in June 1797 in County Down, Ireland, and immigrated to the United States as a young man. By 1820, he was living in Georgetown, a member of the Montgomery Street congregation, and apprenticed to William King to learn cabinet and furniture making. King, also a native of Ireland and a Georgetown Methodist, ran a shop on Congress, now 31st Street, that produced elegant furniture, some of which is still in the White House collection, and coffins. Dixon lived with the King family, sharing a room with King's eldest son, William Jr. When his apprenticeship was completed, Dixon opened his own business, making chairs at what is now 1218 Wisconsin Avenue. Within a few years, however, he entered the lumber business with fellow Georgetown Methodist Esau Prickle. Pickrell. By 1835, Dixon sold his interest to Pickrell and co-founded Dixon Gordon and Company, a lumber and coal supplier at 2901 K Street Northwest, in partnership with Daniel S. Gordon. Dixon soon brought William King Jr. into the business as a third partner. At the start of the Civil War in 1861, Gordon sold his share of the business to Dixon and King headed south. John Dixon and William King Jr. subsequently became two of Georgetown's most prosperous businessmen. Dixon was a devout Methodist and an active member of the Georgetown congregation. He co-founded the Sabbath School with Samuel McKinney in 1819 and served the church as class leader, steward, trustee, and on various committees. Few members of the Montgomery Street congregation were more profoundly affected by the Methodist-Protestant schism than John Dixon. His friend and mentor, William King Sr., was among those who left the Montgomery Street congregation to found Congress Street Methodist Protestant Church in 1829. As was his brother-in-law, William C. Lipscomb, the schism tore the Montgomery Street Church apart, creating such bitterness and acrimony that some opponents in the argument never spoke to one another again. Somehow, John Dixon and William King Jr. managed to maintain their close friendship and business partnership through the conflict and beyond. John Dixon and Anne Lipscomb married on December 27, 1824. Anne's parents, John and Elizabeth Lipscomb, were among the earliest documented members of Dumbarton. They converted to Methodism under the preaching of Francis Asbury in King Williams County, Virginia, and later moved to Georgetown, where they united with the Montgomery Street congregation in 1794. Anne had three brothers who played significant roles in Methodism. Her brother William was among the organizers of the Methodist Protestant denomination, as well as the Congress Street Church. Her brothers, Philip and Robert, stayed in the Methodist Episcopal Church, where they were ordained clergy.